Okay, so today I kind of wanted to touch on moving units across bridges as well as moving vehicles through urban or city environments. So, whenever it comes to a bridge crossing, what you would want to do is bring a vehicle up, generally, bring it up to the bridge. You can either have the first vehicle pull off to the side and pull security for the other vehicles across the bridge. But when you're on a bridge, you want to move vehicles one at a time across that bridge. And it's going to go underground, but yeah, it's just one at a time across the bridge until they reach the other side. When they reach the other side, they would pull security. And these vehicles would then keep going one at a time across this bridge, and they'd push out a little bit to just beyond the bridge while pulling security. And these it would still just one at a time, each vehicle crossing, staggered position on the road. And the main reason for these vehicles going one at a time across this bridge is if all of them were to cross at the same time, the general idea to an ambush is to take out the lead vehicle and then take out the rear vehicle. So if you take out the lead vehicle on a bridge, it blocks their way of getting across the bridge to their side. And if you take out the rear vehicle, it blocks them out of getting off of the bridge. So then they're in a kill zone on the bridge, and there's not much for cover on a bridge. And even then, bridges can collapse. So that is why they move vehicles one at a time, so that way you don't trap an entire platoon's worth of vehicles. Now, now when you are moving vehicles in through an urban area, you wouldn't want them to be like it is right now, to where it's one vehicle moving through an urban area, moving through these multi-story buildings, because some of these, probably not all of them, or maybe not all of them at all, but yeah, some of these buildings have floors. So infantry can be up on these floors in these windows. And if you have vehicles moving through primarily alone, I'm going to get rid of these ones, but if you have a vehicle moving through and its gun is pointed down the road because it's looking at what's coming up in front of it, and there's someone with like an RPG or a rocket up here, that can cause a problem, a pretty big problem. Let's actually pull this up here. Anti-tankman up here, because he has a direct line of sight, and not everybody's probably going to be looking around in this vehicle. The commander might be looking off to the right. I wasn't able to record it earlier because it stopped recording. Um, but this is what it looks like whenever you are moving an armored vehicle through an urban scenario or an urban area. Generally, you do not want to have an armored vehicle to move alone on the road. Um, when they are moving through an urban setting, you are going to want the infantry to support the armor and have the armor be more of a support to the infantry. So the infantry will slowly move ahead of the armored vehicle until the infantry come up against the target to where they cannot handle it or they need armored support, and then that armored vehicle will move up to the infantry to support the infantry. So basically, as they're moving through, the infantry are skirting the sides of the road, making sure that they leave it open for the armored vehicle in the middle, and they move up and they engage targets as they move up. So they would slowly move up through the town and engage targets as they're moving through. And then if they came to, like, say there was an armored vehicle down at the end of this road, or shit, we can fucking place one. There's an armored vehicle down the road, looking all sorts of hostile and not very friendly. If the infantry came up and saw it, and they said, shit, we don't have the means to take it out, they can call to that tank to move up and engage that target. And then when the tank is done engaging the target, the infantry will take their place back over in front of the armored vehicle to clear the way and make sure that there's no enemies up on the rafters or up on the rooftops, because a lot of times this armored vehicle is not going to be able to notice that until it's too late. So that is why the infantry is generally always in front of the armored vehicles while they are moving through an urban setting. Okay, so now I'm going to be uh, covering the basis of um, a breaching and clearing. Generally, you'd have your point man, the guy that's going to go through the door first or break down the door first. Um, in the front, you'd have some sort of support right behind them, and this one is usually watching to the front and out. This third one, although right now we have an overhang, would usually be taking a knee, looking up at second story windows to make sure that nobody's going to try to peek out the window and shoot it at your back while you're getting ready to breach. But with it being an overhang, he can't really do that unless he were to come way out to here and do it, which is unnecessary. So he will be right up with them, ready to push in. And then you have one looking to the rear. Now, wow, okay. So whenever you're breaching a room, generally the first man will decide what path everyone will take. And that's decided as the first man will choose which way he goes. So whenever he goes in, he'll be like, look, I'm going left, or look, I'm going right. Now, when he picks, he has to stay to it. So if he decides to go to the right, he's going to go through the door, and he's going to immediately move right. And when he immediately moves right, he will keep moving right and follow the wall. He can look over because he sees that it's a wall and it's clear. He can look over, engage these guys, hit that corner, and then move up and engage targets that he sees. The second man would then have to go left. So he'd go in and he'd go left, but there's a wall. So he'll just keep hugging that wall to the left and just keep moving up through there. And he'll engage targets. The third man will go in and he will go right, the same path. And he will move in and engage targets. Last man, fourth man, whatever. Keep doing that sort of path. He'll usually go in and he'll help clear, and as soon as he's done clearing, he will watch that entrance to make sure nobody comes in behind them. And that is your general for clearing a room. You are going to want to space out. If you do come into a room and there's a door and there's space behind the door, you always check behind that door. If you are like if the door opens in to the left, whoever is going left will want to check behind that door to make sure nobody's hiding behind it. You can usually, if you can hear them or see them, especially with Arma, because sometimes you can see their guns through the door, just shoot through the door. But yeah, you just push in, and each person moves their way in deeper into the room. He would go in because he's going to the right, and he will move right, or he'll look right when he's coming through, and he'll see, okay, it's completely clear. I can just push over to that wall, and he'll push towards that wall, taking out this man. Or these guys will probably already be dead by the time they get to this point. And then this one will come in, do the same thing, because he went right as well, whereas this guy went left. So he'll move up a little bit and get deeper into the room while still holding that entry point to make sure nobody comes in behind him. The only way that this person won't be watching that entry point is if the guy in front of him either goes down, or if outside they already have coverage on these doors. Like, for an example, if they had a vehicle out here. Yeah, if they had an allied vehicle out here covering the entry point, or if they had another squad out here covering the entry point, he wouldn't have to watch that entry point, so he can continue with looking down deep into the building and getting better lines of sight on these areas. Now, if they come up to a room, and let's say these guys have all been killed in this room, and as you can see, there's that doorway, they'll move up on that door, and you'll come up to get ready to breach it. When you open it, hold on, let's get everybody back in line again. Now, let's say you already swung the doors open, doors wide open, and you have a nice open area that you can move to try and see that room as best as you can. I'll actually take control of the breacher to show you this. So, um, so right now we have these doors. I'm gonna go ahead and open them. So they open out, so it's a bit harder to do. But what you would do is you'd keep that gun up and you'd pie the doorway so you can see as deep as you can into the room. And then once you get that pie done and it looks clear, then you push in and either go left or go right. If you go right and there's a stairwell, you sit there. And the correct way to clear a stairwell is by slowly moving up it and looking up the stairs. Now if you come up a stairwell and there's another room like this, you would come up and you check the stairs, and then you would pivot back to watching the corner and moving out on the corner. And your second guy would be watching that stair. Come up to a room. Okay, you see that there's a wall there. You don't want to stick your gun through the actual doorway to give them a line of sight of you. And then you pie this door. And then you push in on the corner that you couldn't see. And you continue up, going up the stairs, checking. Okay, you can see pretty deep up the stairwell. Moving, comes into another room. Now, obviously there's not another set of stairs right here. You don't know what's above you on this landing. So what you do when you're coming up a stairwell, you're watching the stairs, and then you see that there's a landing. You look behind you up the landing, and at this point, their second guy should be able to watch that, so you can move out and check this room. And then you check this stored room. You see that it's already cracked. It's nice. You can see inside of it. Pie your door. Push in on the corner that you can't see. And then if you were to be coming up the stairwell and say this room didn't exist and it was just another landing, when you would come up, you'd be watching, and then you'd move up the landing while you're watching. And then at this point, your second guy would be able to look through this landing as well, because you have a ladder, and then you can clear the ladder a little bit, check the landing, and then when you come up to a ladder, this one, someone's probably going to get shot. Someone will probably go down for this, because you're going to have to go up this ladder. You can either smoke it, or you could chuck a flashbang, or you could frag it. Now, the only thing is if you frag it, be ready for that to possibly roll back down on you and run down the stairwell. A lot of times if you're throwing a frag grenade up into a space, you're going to want these guys that are following you to head back and get away from you just in case that frag grenade comes right back down, so you can minimize casualties. But if you're going up, either pick the flash, frag, smoke, and then go. Get up it as fast as you can with Arma ladders. Which, as you can see, a frag grenade would be pretty dangerous because this is a slanted floor.